How much longer can you ignore that ear-splitting noise calling for you to awaken? October 29, 2013. The oneness of all of creation is the underlying truth that supports all that exists, and for you, embodied as individual human beings with many different beliefs and cultures, that is an enormous paradox. And your guide through the paradox, the maze, is your intuition, your guidance from your true self, and from those on whom you may choose to call in the spiritual realms. And to make contact with that guidance you have to break away from the distractions with which the illusion constantly presents you, deadlines, responsibilities to others, and various other shoulds and musts that you accept as inevitable and unavoidable burdens, and take time out in your peaceful inner space to be quiet and to listen. And that can be very difficult initially as your daily chores and responsibilities keep popping into your mind with the message, "You just don't have time for this right now." However, if you manage to override those constant calls for your attention, and you will to a certain extent if you persist in not engaging with them, you will create a place within you, or, more realistically, you will uncover within yourselves a place of peace and safety that has always been there for you. You most certainly need to uncover it for your own well-being. And when you do, those with whom you are in any kind of a relationship, family, work, religious or political associates, will also gain. After all, as we in the spiritual realms keep telling you, all are one, and therefore your existence, your life, your thoughts, your words, and your actions all have an effect on the lives of everyone else without exception. The wonderful thing about this moment in humanity's ongoing spiritual evolution is the rapidly increasing sense of awareness that each one of you has your own path to follow, and not a one-size-fits-all path designed or recommended by some guru or authority figure. People whom you respect as mentors can be enormously helpful to you as long as you also listen carefully to your own inner knowing, so that when it comes to making decisions you also fully honor that inner intuitive sense. Wise, loving, and compassionate mentors and guides, who have no personal agenda to fulfill, can help you to identify what your intuition is attempting to tell you. But then you have to come to an awareness, an understanding of what that is, so that you can decide what action, if any, to take in the situation that you are seeking guidance about. In the end it always comes down to love. If your choices are not based on love, but on egoic self-centeredness, then you are choosing not to learn the lesson being presented to you, and it will have to be presented to you again at a later date, and maybe in completely different circumstances. You did not understand it the first time, so a new approach will be introduced in the hope that it has more meaning for you. The lessons that you chose to have presented to you during your human lives will continue to be presented to you until you recognize them for what they are, and make an effort to understand them and then learn from them. Each one leads perfectly to the next, and consequently you cannot skip or bypass any because they each give you insights that will help you to understand the next one. Your life paths and the lessons that you chose to have appear on them in front of you were very wisely and lovingly created so that you could obtain the highest benefit with a minimum of suffering. It is not imposed suffering that you experience when you do not learn your lessons, it is just the inevitable result of error. For instance, if you drive your vehicle too fast around a sharp bend on a wet or icy road, you are likely to have an accident because you have made an error of judgment. There is no punishment involved or intended, although you may choose to interpret what occurs in that way. When the separation occurred, you moved into a state of amnesia, and memories, which depend on the linear flow of time, locked you neatly into the time continuum so that the now moment, in which all of creation exists eternally, was closed off or hidden from you, and your knowing of your oneness with God was temporarily mislaid. Without that knowing of God's infinite, eternal, and unconditional love for you, and of which you are each essential and inseparable aspects, severe suffering assailed you. You were created in love from love by your Heavenly Father, and to lose that love, as it seems that you did, has caused unimaginable pain and suffering. That is why He wants and intends that you awaken from your horrific nightmare. He wants only your eternal happiness. He neither judges nor punishes because that is not the way of love. You have attempted to hide from the terror that you instigated, to disguise it, and to deny it, but as long as you appear to be separated from His love, it will be there undermining your self-worth by convincing you that because you are unloved, as it seems to you that you are therefore unworthy of love. To live with a belief is too painful to endure, and so it is refuted, denied, and hidden deep in your unconscious for as long as you have the egoic strength to contain it. When the separation happened, your Father instantly provided for its dissolution by ensuring that your connection to Him was unbreakable and eternal. Of course it was always unbreakable, you just were not aware of that, and always available to you if you chose to go within to your inner unseparated space and call on Him or your spiritual guides, angels, saints, or mentors for assistance. Often you were afraid to do that, or did so reluctantly and skeptically, thus deciding not to be aware of that divine and always-on connection to Him. Nevertheless, over the eons that connection has been increasing the volume of its calling to you, and in the last few decades more and more of you have heard it and responded. As the numbers responding have grown, so has the volume of its ringing, so that all are now hearing it. Even if all are not yet acknowledging it, which is why you are going to awaken. It is as though you had pushed the snooze button on your alarm clocks when they sounded off in the morning because you wanted a few more minutes in bed, but the alarm, in snooze mode, is very persistent, and its volume increases with each new burst of buzzing until it is impossible for you to ignore it any longer. That is where humanity is now. How much longer can you ignore that ear-splitting noise calling for you to awaken? Your loving brother, Jesus. Channeled by John Smallman. johnsmallman2.wordpress.com